Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am here today to talk to you about post-traumatic stress disorder, the hidden disability. Many of us have seen or heard stories about wounded soldiers returning from home and the struggles they deal with every day from the wounds that they have attained. What many people are unaware of is a different kind of wound, one that has been around for many years but up until recently has gone unnoticed. That disorder is post-traumatic stress disorder. And many active and former service members, such as myself, are learning to cope with this disorder through newly discovered research. Let's begin with, what is post-traumatic stress disorder? PTSD is an anxiety disorder that can occur after somebody has been through an extremely traumatic event. According to Dr. Roxanne Dryden-Edwards' 2010 post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD is an emotional illness that is classified as an anxiety disorder and usually develops as a result of a terribly frightening, life-threatening, or otherwise highly unsafe experience. PTSD makes you feel stressed long after the event has taken place. Now you might be asking yourself, what causes post-traumatic stress disorder? The National Center for Biotechnology Information, the U.S. National Library of Medicine, states the cause of PTSD is unknown, but psychological, genetic, physical, and social factors are involved. As stated before, the initial cause of PTSD is an extremely traumatic event, such as engaging in combat, being a victim of rape, witnessing the death of another person, observing dismembered bodies, being the victim of sexual abuse and physical abuse, to name a few. For example, I was engaged in an attempted suicide attack while I was in the desert during the war, and also while I was in the military I responded to a car wreck that contained a decapitated body. Dr. Harold Cohen explains, some research is focused on the neurochemicals that may be involved in PTSD. For example, there is evidence that a hormonal system known as the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal system, or HPA axis, which is involved in normal stress reactions, becomes disrupted in people with PTSD. Now let's turn our attention to what are the symptoms of PTSD. Symptoms can be associated with The symptoms that can be associated with PTSD are depression, isolation, loss of sleep, hypervigilance, anger outbursts, and flashbacks. For example, I realized that I no longer enjoyed any of the activities that I once enjoyed before I enlisted into the military and went to war. I found myself avoiding going out in the public, and I've also been diagnosed with sleep insomnia and have nightmares about the traumatic events that I have witnessed. Dr. Melinda Smith and Dr. Gene Siegel's 2010 article, Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder, Symptoms, Treatment, and Self-Help, states there are three main types of symptoms associated with PTSD. Re-experiencing the traumatic event, which includes flashbacks, nightmares, and feelings of intense stress when reminded of the event. Avoidance and numbing, which includes avoiding activities, loss of interest in activities or life, and feeling detached from others and emotionally numb. And the last one being increased anxiety and emotional arousal, which includes difficulty sleeping, loss of concentration, outbursts of anger, and being hypervigilant. Finally, let's look at how does someone recover from PTSD. As a current casualty of PTSD, I've been told by many professionals that someone with PTSD does not fully recover, but they must learn to cope with the effects of PTSD and go on with living their life. According to the Department of Veterans Affairs, recovery is attainable through psychotherapy and pharmacotherapy, such as seeking help from a mental health professional and being prescribed medications which alter the imbalances and restrict outbreaks of depression and anxiety. So to summarize, post-traumatic stress disorder has become a daily battle for many returning service members. Not only does the disorder affect the individual themselves, but it affects their friends and family as well. Being able to go back out into society and enjoy life is the key to a successful recovery. We may not be able to stop this type of injury from happening or taking place, but we can help put the monster to sleep. Thank you.